The rain came down like judgment. Angela was on her knees in the middle of the street, not because she'd fallen, because the two men standing over her had told her to kneel, and she had. Across the intersection, 3 luxury cars idled, headlights cutting through the rain. 3 men in tailored suits stood beside the cars. They didn't intervene. They didn't react. They simply watched. One of the men over Angela nudged her shoulder with his shoe. "You thought you could just walk away? After what you cost us?" No one else was around. No cars passed. It was as if the city itself had chosen not to see this. Angela's hands were shaking. Not from the cold. From something older than that. Then one of the men near the cars stepped forward. Not toward her. Not toward the men humiliating her. Just forward enough to be noticed. He didn't look at them. He looked at Angela. And with a chill that had nothing to do with the rain, she understood something terrifying. He wasn't there to save her. He was there because he'd been waiting for her. 3 weeks earlier, Angela Conway learned that surviving and living were not the same thing. The office was almost empty. Just her and the fluorescent lights and the stack of reports Monica had dumped on her desk at 4:47 p.m. on a Friday. Again. "These need to be corrected by Monday," Monica had said, not looking up from her phone. "And Angela? Try not to make it worse this time." The reports were perfect. Angela had written them herself 2 months ago. Monica had simply removed Angela's name from the headers and added her own. Now she wanted them corrected, as punishment for something Angela couldn't even identify anymore. Angela didn't argue. She never did. She'd learned that lesson 6 months into the job, when she'd politely mentioned a budget error in front of the regional director. Monica had smiled, thanked her, then systematically destroyed every project Angela touched for the next 4 weeks until Angela understood. Silence was survival. Her coworkers had stopped making eye contact with her around month 8. Not out of cruelty, out of self-preservation. Whatever Monica was doing to Angela, it was contagious. Stay too close and you'd catch it. By 9 p.m., Angela was alone in the building. She told herself it was fine. She'd survived worse. That was the problem, though. She'd survived a lot of worse. Juvenile detention at 16 for a carjacking she hadn't committed but couldn't afford to fight. A record that turned every job application into an interrogation. A family that had stopped calling after she refused to come home and get right with God about her choices. This job, this suffocating, soul-crushing job, was the best she could do. And Monica knew it. Angela pressed her palms against her eyes and tried to remember what wanting something felt like. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You're working late again." She stared at the screen. No follow-up. No explanation. Angela set the phone down and turned back to her computer. Probably a wrong number. Or a scam. But when she left the building 2 hours later and walked toward the subway, she felt it. Someone was watching. She didn't turn around. Didn't speed up. Just kept walking, keys between her fingers. Heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with recognition. She'd felt this before. Recently. At the coffee shop last Tuesday. Outside her apartment on Thursday. In the grocery store on Sunday. Angela stopped at the corner and finally looked back. The street was empty, but one of the streetlights near the office entrance was out. And in the space where the light should have been, she thought she saw the outline of a car. Expensive, dark, idling. When she blinked, it was gone. Angela didn't sleep that night. She kept the lights on in her apartment and checked the locks 3 times. Not that it mattered. The building was old. The kind where the front door buzzer hadn't worked in 2 years and the super only showed up when someone threatened to call the city. By Monday morning, she'd convinced herself it was paranoia, exhaustion, the kind of thing that happens when you work 70-hour weeks and forget what sunlight feels like. Monica was waiting at her desk when she arrived. "You're late," Monica said. It was 8:03 a.m. Angela's shift started at 8 o'clock.
"I'm sorry."
The reports were wrong. Monica dropped a stack of papers onto Angela's keyboard. Red ink covered every page. I don't know what you were thinking, but this is unacceptable. Angela stared at the pages. They were the same reports, word for word. Monica had just marked them up, circled random sentences, added question marks in the margins where there were no questions. I'll fix them, Angela said quietly. You'll redo them. Monica leaned closer. Her perfume was expensive. Everything about her was expensive. From scratch. By tomorrow. Angela nodded. She didn't trust herself to speak. Monica left. Angela sat down and opened her desk drawer for a pen. Inside was a folded piece of paper that hadn't been there Friday night. Her hands went still. She glanced around the office. No one was looking. Everyone had learned not to look. Angela unfolded the paper slowly. It was a photo, printed on regular copy paper, grainy, like it had been taken from a distance. It was her, kneeling in front of Monica's desk 3 weeks ago, picking up files Monica had, accidentally, knocked onto the floor. The angle was from across the room. Near the windows, someone had been in the office, watching. Angela flipped the page over. On the back, in neat handwriting, "You deserve better. No signature. No explanation." She shoved the paper into her bag and tried to focus on her screen. But her hands were shaking again, and this time it wasn't from anything old. It was from something present. That afternoon, Angela checked Monica's calendar while she was in a meeting. Thursday night, Monica had a notation, HV Warehouse District 11 p.m. HV. She'd seen those initials before on emails Monica deleted too quickly. Angela took a photo of the screen. When she looked up, someone was standing outside the office window. On the street below, a man in a dark suit, looking directly up at her floor. He didn't wave, didn't move, just watched. By the time Angela blinked, he was gone. But her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Careful what you look for. Angela didn't go home after work. She went to the warehouse district instead. It was stupid. She knew it was stupid. But the alternative was going back to her apartment and pretending she didn't know something was happening. Something bigger than Monica's cruelty. The address from Monica's calendar led to a building that looked abandoned. Broken windows.
Rusted gate.
The kind of place the city forgot about. But there were cars parked in the back. Expensive ones. Angela stayed across the street, hidden behind a delivery truck, and watched. Monica arrived at 10:47 p.m. She wasn't alone. A man in his 50s stepped out of a black sedan. Silver hair. Tailored suit. He moved like someone who expected doors to open before he reached them. They went inside together. Angela waited 5 minutes, then crossed the street. The side door was unlocked. Inside, the building smelled like concrete and old water damage. She followed the sound of voices down a hallway. 12 active at the moment, the man was saying. His voice echoed. All compliant. All isolated. And Conway? That was Monica. Perfect. No family. No references outside the firm. Criminal record makes her unemployable elsewhere. She's exactly what the clients want. Angela's stomach dropped. When? Monica asked. 2 weeks. They're flying in from Singapore. High-value buyer. He's requested someone resilient. Angela backed away from the door. Her shoe scraped against the floor. The conversation stopped. Did you hear that? Monica's voice sharp now. Angela ran. She made it to the side door, but someone was already there. A man she didn't recognize. Security, maybe. He grabbed her arm. Let go. He didn't. Then a car door slammed outside. The man's grip loosened. Not voluntarily. His eyes shifted toward the street, and for the first time, Angela saw something she recognized. Fear. Go, he said quietly. Now. He released her. Angela didn't wait to understand. She ran. Outside, 3 luxury cars were parked across the street. The same ones from the text message. From the office window. 3 men stood beside them. The middle one was looking directly at her. He didn't move, didn't speak. But the message was clear. Not yet. Angela got into her car and drove home with shaking hands. When she unlocked her apartment, there was an envelope on the floor. Inside was a single business card. No name, no company, just a phone number. And on the back, in the same handwriting from the photo, "When you're ready to stop running." Angela called the number 3 days later. Not because she wanted to, because Monica promoted her. "Congratulations," Monica had said that morning, smiling in a way that didn't reach her eyes. "You're moving to my team, permanently. Direct report." Angela's co-workers had looked away. They knew what it meant. It meant Monica owned her now. Completely. The phone rang twice before someone answered. Angela. Not a question. A statement. She recognized the voice. The man from the office. The one who'd told her to go home. "I need help," she said. "I know. Who are you?" A pause. Then, "Someone who's been watching you longer than Monica has." That should have terrified her. Somehow it didn't. "What do you want?" Angela asked. "To give you a choice." His voice was steady, calm. "You can keep surviving. Or you can let us help you." "Why would you help me?" "Because you're useful. And because what's happening to you is happening to 11 other women." Angela's hand tightened around the phone. "Meet me tonight," he said. "Parking garage. Sublevel 3. 10 p.m. "How do I know?" "You don't." He hung up. Angela sat at her desk for 20 minutes, staring at her screen. Then she deleted the call log and went back to work. At 9:47 p.m., Angela stepped into the parking garage. Sublevel 3 was nearly empty. Just her car and a black sedan parked near the far wall. The man was leaning against it. Mid-30s. Dark hair. The kind of face that didn't need to try. He watched her approach with the same calm intensity she'd felt through the phone. "You came," he said. "I didn't have a choice." "You always have a choice." He pushed off the car. "The question is whether you're ready to make one that costs something." "What does that mean?" He didn't answer. Instead, he handed her a folder. Inside were photos. Women she didn't recognize. Dates. Locations. And at the bottom a list of names. Monica's name was there. So was the silver-haired man from the warehouse. And at the top, in bold, Vincent Harrow. Executive VP. "They're selling you," the man said. "In 2 weeks. To a buyer in Singapore. Unless you help us stop them." Angela looked up. "Who is US?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "People who don't ask permission." Behind him, 2 more men stepped out of the shadows. Older, younger, same tailored suits, same presence. Brothers, Angela realized. The man in front of her extended his hand. "Thomas Walker," he said, "and you're going to help us burn them down." Angela didn't shake his hand. "I can't help you," she said.
I'm nobody.
"I have nothing." "You have access," Thomas said. "To Monica, to Harrow, to the files they think you're too broken to care about. And if I say no, then you get on a plane in 2 weeks. And we find someone else." Angela looked at the folder again. 12 women. 12 names. Some had dates crossed out. Some just had a single word, gone. "What happened to them?" she asked. Thomas didn't answer. He didn't need to. Angela closed the folder and handed it back. "I need time. You have 3 days." Thomas stepped closer. "After that, they move you. And we can't protect you if you're not with us." "I didn't ask for protection." "No," he said quietly. "But you're going to need it." Angela went back to work the next morning like nothing had changed. Monica was in a meeting. Harrow was out of the office. The floor was quiet. She opened Monica's calendar. The Singapore meeting was scheduled for next Friday. AC delivery. Confirmed.
Aktini Angela Kunwai.
Her stomach turned. She closed the screen and went back to her desk. At lunch, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Don't go to the parking garage alone tonight. Angela deleted the message. She wasn't going to live like this. Afraid. Owned. Watched by people who thought they could decide her life for her. If Monica and Harrow wanted to sell her, she'd make sure they regretted it. At 6 p.m., Angela stayed late. She waited until the office was empty, then went back to Monica's desk. This time, she found what she was looking for.
A locked cabinet.
Inside, a laptop, password protected, but Monica had written it on a sticky note under the keyboard. Amateurs. Angela opened the files. What she found made her hands go cold. Contracts,
Wire transfers.
names of buyers, locations, and photos, not just of her, of all 12 women, before and after. Angela was still staring at the screen when she heard the elevator. She looked up. The lights were still on. It was 8 p.m. Someone else was working late. The elevator doors opened. 2 men stepped out. Not security. Not employees. They looked at her. Then they started walking toward Monica's office. Angela grabbed the laptop and ran for the stairwell. She made it 3 floors before they caught up. One grabbed her arm. The other reached for the laptop. Angela swung it hard into his face. He staggered back. The other one didn't let go. Let her go. The voice came from the stairwell above. Thomas Walker stepped into view. He wasn't alone. The 2 men let go. Not because they wanted to, because William Walker, the eldest brother, was already behind them, and James Walker, the youngest, was blocking the stairwell exit below. Thomas didn't move. He just looked at Angela, then at the laptop in her hands. "You were supposed to wait," he said. "I don't take orders from you." "No," Thomas said quietly. "But you're about to." One of the men started to back away. William caught him by the collar and slammed him into the wall. Not hard enough to break anything. Hard enough to make a point. "Who sent you?" William asked. The man didn't answer. William pressed harder. "Harrow," the man gasped. He said, "She was trying to steal." "She didn't steal anything," Thomas said. He stepped closer to Angela. "She's taking back what's hers." James moved up from the lower stairwell. He looked younger than the others. Mid-20s, maybe, but there was nothing soft about the way he moved. "Cops?" James asked. "No," Thomas said. "Harrow doesn't call cops. He cleans up his own mess." Angela's pulse was still racing. "What are you going to do with them?" Thomas looked at her like he was deciding how much truth she could handle. "Nothing you need to see," he said. William and James dragged the 2 men down the stairs. Angela heard a door open, then close. She was alone with Thomas. He held out his hand. "The laptop."
No.
"Angela." "I said no." She held it against her chest. "This is evidence. If I give it to you, I have nothing." Thomas studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Fair enough," he said. "But you're not going home tonight." "Excuse me? Harrow knows you took it. He'll send more. And next time we might not be here." "I didn't ask you to be here this time." Thomas smiled. It was the first time she'd seen him do that, and it was unsettling. Not because it was cruel, because it wasn't. "No," he said. "But I came anyway." He started down the stairs. Stopped. Looked back. "You coming?" Angela didn't move. "I don't know you," she said. "I know." Thomas tilted his head. "But you know Harrow, and you know Monica, and you know what happens if you walk out of here alone." Angela looked down at the laptop, then back at him. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere they won't follow." He turned and continued down the stairs. Angela hesitated. Then she followed him. The estate was an hour outside the city. Angela didn't speak during the drive. Neither did Thomas. William drove. James sat in the back with her, scrolling through his phone like this was routine. Maybe it was. The house, if you could call it that, sat behind iron gates and surrounded by trees. Old money, the kind that didn't need to prove anything. Inside, The youngest brother disappeared down a hallway. William went to pour himself a drink. Thomas led Angela to a sitting room that looked like it belonged in a museum. "Sit," he said. She didn't. Thomas sighed and sat down himself. "Vincent Harrow has been running this operation for 3 years. He uses the firm as a front. Identifies women with no support system, no family, records that make them desperate. Then he grooms them, breaks them down, and when they're compliant enough, he sells them." Angela's jaw tightened. "You've known this for 3 years?" "We've known about Harrow for 3 years. We've been building a case. You're victim number 12. The one who finally gave us something we can use. The laptop." "The laptop," Thomas confirmed. "It has everything. Contracts, transfers, buyer information. Enough to bury him. So take it to the police." Thomas looked at her like she'd said something naive. "The police won't touch Harrow. Half of them are on his payroll. The other half are too scared." He leaned forward. "We're not the police, Angela." "Then what are you?" "People who solve problems the law won't." Angela crossed her arms. "You're criminals." "Yes."
No hesitación. No justificación.
"And you want me to help you." "We want you to go back," Thomas said. "Keep working. Keep Monica and Harrow believing you're still theirs. Feed us information. And when the buyers arrive next week, we'll be ready." "And then what?" "Then you're free." Angela laughed. Came out bitter. "Free. You don't even know what that word means." Thomas stood. Slowly. He crossed the room until he was close enough that she had to tilt her head back to look at him. "I know you've been on your knees for 2 years," he said quietly. "I know Monica makes you beg for work you've already done. I know Harrow touches your shoulder when he walks past and you freeze every time." His voice dropped. "I know you haven't felt safe since you were 16. So don't tell me I don't know what freedom costs." Angela's throat tightened. "If I do this," she said, "I belong to you instead." Thomas didn't deny it. "Until it's done," he said. "Yes." She looked away. "I need to think." "You have until morning." Angela didn't sleep. The guest room they gave her was bigger than her entire apartment. The bed was too soft. The silence was too complete. She sat by the window and watched the trees move in the wind. At some point, the door opened. She didn't turn around. "You should be resting," Thomas said. "I should be a lot of things." He stepped inside but didn't come closer. Just leaned against the wall near the door. "Why me?" Angela asked. "I told you."
No.
"Why are you here? You have people who could do this. But you showed up. At the office. At the stairwell. You personally." She finally looked at him. "Why?" Thomas was quiet for a long time. "Because I know what it looks like," he said finally. "When someone stops fighting. And you haven't." Angela turned back to the window. "I kneel when they tell me to kneel. I apologize when I haven't done anything wrong. I let Monica humiliate me in front of people who used to be my friends. That's not fighting. That's surviving. Surviving is fighting." Thomas pushed off the wall. "Most people in your position would have broken by now. You're still here, still looking for a way out. That's why we need you. You need me because I'm desperate. We need you because you're strong enough to be desperate and still make them think you're weak." Angela closed her eyes. "If I do this," she said quietly, "and something goes wrong, they'll kill me. They'll try. And you'll stop them." "Yes." "Why should I believe you?" Thomas crossed the room, stopped beside her chair. When she looked up, his face was unreadable. "Because I don't make promises I can't keep," he said. "And I'm promising you this. If you help us, you'll never kneel again." Angela stared at him. Then she stood. "I want it in writing. The laptop stays with me until this is over. And when it's done, I walk away."
No debts. No strings.
Thomas considered her for a moment. Then he extended his hand. "Deal." She shook it. His grip was firm, warm. It lasted a second longer than it needed to. We start tomorrow, Thomas said. William will take you back to your apartment before dawn. Monica can't know you were gone. And the men from the stairwell? They won't be a problem. He didn't elaborate. Angela nodded slowly. Thomas started toward the door, then paused. Angela. She looked at him. You made the right choice. She wasn't sure she believed him, but she wanted to. Angela went back to work Monday morning wearing a silver pendant. She hadn't asked for it. Thomas had handed it to her in the car before William dropped her off. What is this? She'd asked. Protection, Thomas had said. Anyone who knows what it means won't touch you. She'd looked at the engraving. A capital W. And the people who don't know? They'll learn. Monica noticed it immediately. She was standing at the coffee station when Angela walked in. Her eyes dropped to the pendant, and something shifted in her expression. Not anger, something colder. Fear. New jewelry? Monica asked. A gift, Angela said. Monica's smile didn't reach her eyes. From? Angela didn't answer, just walked to her desk. For the first time in 2 years, Monica didn't follow her. By lunch, the entire floor knew. Angela could feel it. The glances, the whispers. People gave her space in the hallway now. Not out of pity, out of uncertainty. Harrow didn't summon her, didn't stop by her desk. He stayed in his office with the door closed. Angela opened the laptop during her break and started copying files to an encrypted drive Thomas had given her. Transaction records, client lists, communication logs, everything. Her phone buzzed. Thomas. Lunch. Downstairs. Now. Angela closed the laptop and went. He was waiting in the lobby. Suit. Dark coat. He didn't blend in and he didn't try to. You're drawing attention, Angela said. Good. That's not the plan. The plan changed. Thomas nodded toward the street. Walk with me. They stepped outside. The December air was sharp. Harrow moved the meeting, Thomas said. It's tonight, not next week. Angela's stomach dropped. Tonight. He knows you're compromised. He's accelerating. Thomas looked at her. We need everything on that laptop. Now. I'm not done. You don't have time to be done. Angela stopped walking. You said I had until next week. I was wrong. Thomas stepped closer. His voice dropped. Harrow's bringing the buyer to the warehouse tonight. 9 p.m. If we don't move now, those women are gone. Including you. Angela's pulse hammered. What do you want me to do? Give me the laptop. Go home. Stay there until I call you.
No.
Thomas frowned. Angela, I'm not sitting at home while you handle this. I've been sitting my whole life. She met his eyes. I'm going with you. This isn't. I earned this, Angela said. I'm going. Thomas stared at her. Then something in his expression shifted. Not disapproval. Respect. Fine, he said. But you follow my lead. And if I tell you to run, I run. Angela finished. Thomas nodded slowly. Tonight, then.